Good evening and welcome to the Board of Education for Battle Creek Public Schools. Today is Monday, June 22nd, 2026. It is 5:30 p.m. I am now calling this meeting to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Hayden? Present. Kate Flores? Here. Art McClooney? Dr. Alicia Johnson? Here. Nathan Brickett? Dr. Nicole Perry?
Present.
Charlie Fulbright?
Here. And I do not have my interpretation message. Maybe. As a reminder, tonight's meeting is being interpreted into Spanish, thanks to our partners at Voces Battle Creek. To listen in Spanish, please refer to the description on our YouTube live stream for the link. To our board members and other speakers, please remember to speak clearly and not too quickly so that our interpreters are able to keep up. I got half of it memorized. I will now entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda, consideration of any additions or deletions.
President Fulbright.
Yes, Trustee Johnson?
Move to approve the agenda.
Support.
It's been moved by Trustee Johnson, supported by Trustee Flores. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion passes. The BCPS Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the community to express themselves on district matters. We have two opportunities tonight on our agenda for public comment. The Board of Education requests you fill out a public participation form with contact information. As you come up to the podium, please state your name. Each statement made by a speaker shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and if the speaker represents a group, the person will be given 5 minutes to speak. BCPS Board of Education will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, but not respond at this time. Public commenters will direct all comments to the Board of Education and not to staff or other participants. Do we have any public comments? Thank you, Kuita. Moving on, I will entertain a motion for the consideration and approval of the consent agenda items.
President Fulbright.
Yes, Vice President Perry.
Move that we approve the consent agenda items consisting of trust fund Schwab, minutes of the work session on May 11th, 2026, and regular meetings on May 18th, 2026, bills for the month of May, personnel changes and recognition of retirees, membership report, hearing report, finance report, and national fitness campaign, Healthy Campus.
Any support? It's been moved by Trustee Perry, supported by Trustee Hayden. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed say no. Motion passes. Moving on to discussion. A, the recognition of 2025-2026 BCPS staff retirements. Dr. Carter.
Yeah, thank you. As always, we wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to all of our teachers who have served Battle Creek Public Schools for many years and have decided to retire. We want to make sure that we recognize them and put their name into the room so that we can continue to just be grateful for the legacy that they leave behind here in Battle Creek Public Schools. This year, we are celebrating and recognizing, and for the board's information, each of the individuals received a gift from Battle Creek Public Schools in advance of this meeting. But we are recognizing Paula Bennett, who retired as a nurse for special education. Kelly Blanchard, retired 5th grade teacher from Valley View. And she served 25 years at Battle Creek Public Schools. Cheryl Lambden, special education, 39 years. Sue Goins, special education, 38 years. Eva Leewald, bilingual support, 18 years. Jason Moose, history and social studies, 27 years. Angie Morris, principal, Lamora, 36 years. Edward Plague, special education, 19 years. Lisa Stephen Wheaton, math teacher, 30 years. And Jennifer Wilson, teacher of special education, 25 years. Congratulations and thank you to those individuals.
Thank you so much. Moving on to B, district end of the year progress reports.
Yeah, so at the end of every year, we kind of take an opportunity to synthesize some of the data that is pulled together for progress towards our strategic plan. It's important to note, one of the questions that came up was that there's some data in here from the American Institute of Research. Their full report comes out in July, at which time we'll share. It's pretty in-depth, but they give us preliminary data points, and then we get a full report in the middle of July, which will then help feed inform our report to the Kellogg Foundation. With that being said, and so the question that I wanted to answer was, what was our progress on the strategic plan goals? We had 4 areas: positive school experience with 2 stated outcomes, building foundations and achieving excellence with 2 outcomes, grade level mastery for all, which had 2 outcomes, career, college, and community ready. So for positive school experience, as you know, that we have a goal to hit by July 2031. As we make progress on those, we have established benchmark outcomes to measure our progress. So as it relates to attendance, 54.5% is the goal that we achieved, or metric we hit this year, which was still short of our goal of 56.7%. Although we made some growth, it was not enough to hit that 2026 goal, and so we'll have to really think deeply about the additional strategies we can employ to ensure students are in school every day on time. And so what we learned from this is that attendance improved most when schools use proactive relationship interventions. Chronic absenteeism is often a symptom of broader barriers, and the school-to-school results varied significantly. The adjustments that we're making for next year is that we're going to strengthen our tiered attendance supports, implement earlier identification and response systems, and increase accountability and consistency across all schools. I think overall the learning is that there's inconsistent implementation, and so we're going to focus on fidelity and consistency across all schools so that there is no variability in the experiences of the kids that we serve.
When you say we, are you referring to like central office?
Central office, yes. We have a very specific focus. If we were to say what are our 2 central focuses, is fidelity and consistency across the district. We don't need any new goals. We don't need any new strategies. We just need to make sure we're doing what we said. So in sense of belonging, this was the lowest area. And when we dig into the data, we recorded 57.1%, which was below this year's goal of 67.5%. And looking at the data, it really is around relationships and helping students build those relationships and feeling like they have, that they feel seen, valued, and heard across all schools. If you unpack this, what we noticed is that a lot of the area of concern is at the middle school level. So secondary had the lowest belonging levels, and so we will focus in on the strategies around that. So what you can see here is that 5th grade was higher, and it's our middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade that we have concern about, and then 12th grade as well. So what did we learn? That students' sense of belonging is strongly connected to relationships with adults. Student voice matters, and belonging experiences are not consistent across student groups and grades. So what we're going to adjust for is that we're going to ensure that every student has a trusted adult, and the way that we will do that is ensure that each school has a strategy connected to that for implementation next year. We have district strategies, but what we want to do is make sure that every school has a strategy that connects kids to adults.
Help me there.
Yes.
So you have a district strategy, but then the schools have to do a different strategy. What's the?
No, it's more like ensuring that the school has their own, the how. So we have the what, but for example, a how at the high school might be the implementation of student government so that their voice can be heard. And so we want them to make sure that that is specifically stated in their strategies, their school improvement strategy.
Sorry, could I follow up? Can you give an example again? If the let's use middle school as that being a primary area of concern. Like, what might that strategy look like to make sure?
So, having caseloads in small groups that are happening, so social emotional learning groups that are happening on a regular basis, and that we are monitoring the caseloads and that the students are actually having access. We might prioritize based on need. So that would be one. Implementing more mentoring. So we're partnering right now with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and so having mentoring programs in our schools, leveraging YPIC at a greater, expanding YPIC across the schools so that they have access to a hearing adult. Those are some of the strategies that you might see.
But when you're saying adult, you're not referring to like specifically their teachers?
I think it's a both and. So we have to develop the relationships with the teachers, because I did hear that directly from students, right? As well as just making sure there's a caring adult in the school that you can have a relationship with. So I think it would be a both and, in my opinion.
A question still on this. So Dr. Johnson and I were talking about some stuff she heard, so I'm gonna steal some of it. I'm not gonna act like this is my suggestion. Some stuff she heard when she was listening to
Black Boys and Men.
the super ad. Yeah, okay, that's where it was wrong. And she said something about him having requirements, and you picked up from this, but requirements about like attending, how teachers show those connections, attending events. There we go. Can you say?
Yes, when you asked that question, I was thinking about that in terms of strategy. So, and you guys were there, you heard him talk about how he requires his staff to attend at least four. That was when he said, you have a piece of paper in your life, right? And I really appreciate, and there was another.
You know that he was talking about central office, right?
I don't know, but I appreciated just the understanding that we need to be present, and it connected to one of the other presentations. I can't remember which one it was, but they were talking about being. I wish I could remember exactly, but it was basically about making sure that we have presence outside of just the classroom, so that the students see us broadly. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
Yes.
I liked that together. Just said a lot about belonging and the student experience.
Yes, and that goes back to the importance of developing those relationships. I think for us in Battle Creek, because to that point, I just want to make sure that you can't require teachers to do that outside of their contract. And that's not what Dr. Slade was talking about. He really does make sure that his central office is visible, which we share that same as we were modeling going out into the community. I do require that we're visible at events. We have what's called the district champions that are assigned to buildings to be visible. But what we have to do is create a culture where teachers also feel impelled, just feel inspired and want to be in the students' lives. And so that's one of the things that I do believe strongly, but I think that culture is built by the principal. So if they show up, teachers will show up and be there. But the requirement is a contractual thing that we struggle with.
Yes, and what I appreciated was it being very clear for sports events or whatever it was, right? Even with central office, because I think that accountability kind of like trickles down, right? When we understand like we are all accountable to showing up. So when we talk about the culture of accountability, even if it's just the central office, I know that that's an expectation of me, rather than like, we want you to show up, right? And I expect the number, rather than wishing I to demonstrate how important this is this. So I
Appreciate that.
Okay, Kate.
Okay, Just another comment on this, that first line of student feedback consistently shows students who felt known, valued, supported. That piece about being known, because it feels like there is a layer here. There's the belonging to school, but underneath that is like, it's the whole person. Like I have value and I am known. And, obviously academic achievement is such a big part. It's central to the plan. It's obviously everything we do. And there's this dynamic when I see that, that's what I hear. Like, I am valued for who I am as a full person, not just for how I perform on that test, And so I think that is what I see in this data as well, and what you're seeing from that of like why the relationships matter. I think it's critical.
We have a saying in the district that we see every child by name, need, and strength.
I love that.
And so how do we make sure that we're holding people accountable for what does that look like and what does that mean to see every child by name, need, and strength?
I love that.
Any other questions on belonging? That will be a focus area for 26-27.
Here's my only comment would be, look, instead of trying to lead with the requirement aspect of teaching, I'm trying to think of what existed back when I was at school. Like, the teachers were in the community, they were involved, I don't know that there was a requirement. I never heard my dad say, yeah, I have to go to this game. But he wanted to create those relationships. So I don't want it to be something to where it's mandated in a contract. And again, not saying the principal has to be saying y'all need to come to these things, but like, how is a district creating that culture where people are invested in the role beyond teaching? I see some teachers that are really into it, and whatever that is driving them. Figure out how to bottle that and spread it out instead of making it a mandate. So.
For me, I think it's like a bottom-up driven approach rather than a top-down. And so to share the data, to say, this is what our students are experiencing, hearing, believing, what do you think we should do about this? How do you think we can create better relationships? Because I think it's better when they're part of the design of this rather than me saying, I require you to go to 2 literacy state, all of that. I want you to do it because you believe that that is going to be something that helps you develop a relationship with students.
And that's a beautiful an aspiration. And education is different than when you're right? So I also want us to be realistic when it comes to, yeah.
It's a both and.
Yes.
And what's really different is the number of individuals that live in the community that they teach in. So we also have to take that into account. And so how do we, given that that's the current reality, what's possible? And so it's not to say, it's to understand that this isn't the same time, but how do we create the same outcomes in a different way? So the next goal is around building foundations, and our metric is how are students doing in reading and math as measured by the NWEA, which is a national assessment, benchmark assessment. So our target was 38%, and we rose to 37%. So while progress was made, we still did not hit that goal. And what we noticed in this, and you probably have been hearing this in our community, is that more students are coming not ready. And so we're gonna go all the way down to pre-K and look at what is getting in the way of the readiness levels of our kindergartners, which creates more catch-up growth needed. Okay? So more importantly, just to make sure you understand this, when we look at the data, we have students who fall in the lowest percentile, middle and high. The lower percentile has increased. And so I am really looking at kindergarten readiness. And so you'll start to hear us report more on those readiness metrics. We need to have a close eye on how many letter names and sounds our kids coming out of preschool with, so that we can make sure that our K-3 data is stronger in the fall. K-3 math proficiency. The math proficiency reached 45. Our goal was 44%. But again, That's just incremental progress, and so we're not satisfied. We hit the goal, but we need to make sure that we're looking at the system to create transformational rapid improvement. I believe more students can hit that goal a little bit faster, and we want to look again at those pre-K strategies. So what we learned is that strong Tier 1 instruction remains the greatest lever for improving student outcomes. Now, I realize that that's kind of jargon, and basically that is the initial instruction that students receive in the classroom has to be high quality, right? And it has to be consistent across all classrooms. So the same academic experience that a student is receiving at Fremont should be the same academic experience that a student is receiving at Ann J. Kellogg. And so our job is going to be laser-like focused on ensuring that a guaranteed viable curriculum experience is in every single classroom across the district. And we do have strategies for how we will achieve that in the fall. We also understand that early identification and intervention matter. I think we already knew that, but we just want to strengthen our early intervention system. So when you come in the fall, we're assessing, we're understanding exactly what your present level of achievement is, and we are immediately responding with an intervention plan. Not 3 to 4 weeks into the school year, but immediately understanding, which is why in the fall we're implementing individualized reading plans, which is also part of the dyslexia law. So we will understand students' present level of achievement and figure out what they need in order to accelerate. Literacy and numeracy outcomes are closely connected, and so we're, again, you're going to hear me say it over and over again, the number one issue that we saw was lack of consistency across the district. And so that's where I'm leaning in, and Dr. Harvey is leaning in.
So a question on this one. Are you not coming ready? What supports are going to be provided? Are parents in this consideration? So being a parent who's had kids, there's no consistent way to know what my kids are learning, what they're doing. And I get you saying that's a consistency thing. But like even as they come home or over the summer, what can I do? Like is there a way that we can enable and make it easier for parents to support? Because they spend time only in a certain amount in the school. But like if the parent, teach the parent how to reinforce, oh, you see a stop sign, tell them it's red and read the letters or whatever. Not every parent knows that. So are there ways that the school can support parents to help this push too? Because right now it's a bit disconnected.
I agree with that, and so I think Dr. Harvey's taking notes on the feedback, and so that's a good I would love to see that strategy included in the Family and Community Engagement Coordinator's plan. So I'll look for how are we going to support parents with early literacy and numeracy skills so that they can help their child at home.
In addition with the
That's
Vice President Perry, offering, if you can, like some skill building courses for the parents, because some of the parents' reading levels may be low, or, so that might be something that you can incorporate.
So as a part of Bearcat Health, thank you for mentioning that, that did come up that we have an increased adult literacy issue in Battle Creek. And so the response to that is that Willard Library is now going to offer some adult literacy courses. So what we're trying to do is partner with other organizations to lift some of the other areas. We're partnering with the Early Childhood Education Collaborative to do some work in that space with community action. So all of us together can create a comprehensive response to what we're seeing in the early childhood space and the lack of readiness. So I think it's going to be a multi-pronged approach.
Have you seen, have there been, I mean, because that's been, right? The early childhood, we've had major initiatives in this community around exactly this. Like, have those waned? What has changed? Like, is that why we're seeing?
So we tripled kindergarten readiness rates, right? And we actually have, that was part of our talking point. But our recent data says that it has gone backwards, and this is post-COVID data. So the understanding of the why is not there yet, so we have a coalition that's meeting on a monthly basis. Pulse, BC Pulse is a part of that conversation, and what we're doing is collecting data. Part of that data collection is we did a survey with GSRP families to understand their current reality and experience, but we really have more questions than we have answers, to be honest. I don't know the why.
How does it compare to other districts?
It's a countywide. So Calhoun ISD is on these meetings, trying to understand what's happening. We have lower enrollment. One of the things we've seen is lower enrollment in GSRP. People are keeping their kids at home longer, and so that's a thing that we have to interrupt, is how can we get more students, 4-year-olds enrolled in preschool, because we know the impact. Not all the seats are filled. The governor has increased that, but we still have lots of unfilled seats, so.
Has like some of the family visiting programs been cut? I mean, because all of like, Nikki, what you're saying, like there have been like initiatives focused exactly on these things.
And the data says those initiatives work, right? What we don't know is, I think we're just trying to understand what may have changed. And I honestly can't answer that yet. But Tricia Graycheck is on there. Greg is a part of that committee. I'm a part of that committee, the ISD. We're just bringing folks together to do some, and WK Kellogg, because this is their bread and butter,
Exactly.
is a part of these conversations to understand what is happening in the county. So let's stay in conversation about that, and we'll share what we learned. So we talk about math. The goal was 44. We did hit the 45%. And again, we still gotta continue to keep our foot on the gas of making sure that we are moving these needles in the right direction. Oh, sorry, thank you. Oh, there's reading. I think we talked about that. Oh. Figure out how.
Next one.
There we go. Okay, grade level mastery for all. So it's the down button. Okay. So grade level mastery for all is grade levels 4 through 8 with the same goal, but now we're looking at 4 through 8. Our goal was 20%, and we hit the 24.2%, which we hit the goal, but it's low. So we've got work to do, right? I appreciate the fact that we've set incremental goals along the way, but they also serve as early warning signs. Like if you do nothing, you're going to get slow outcomes. We still have to figure out why over 70% of the students are still struggling in this area.
Yeah, this may be non-traditional. Is there any way we can see, because that is low, and I'm just curious what it looks like. Like what are they, even if we just have samples of what the testing looks like it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it possible for us to just see what the test looks like to understand this a little bit better? I feel like that would be helpful.
We take that under advisement?
Sure,
So we can
yeah.
Okay. Dr. Harvey, you're kind of listening. Let me see. It is a computer adaptive, but they've got to have some samples out there, so.
Yeah, because when I see reading proficiency, I mean, like I just want to know how we're.
But even if you look at the
measuring that.
M-STEP, it's really low. In the state of Michigan, I think the highest is 33%. So let's think about even sharing some of the M-STEP data.
I would be more interested in also breaking it out, because 4 through 8 is a big gap, a big span. So like, what's 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, like.
We do have that.
Okay.
And we can share that with you. I always struggle with how much data, because we have 90 slides, or I can do, right? And then I think that could be part of our July conversation as we're really thinking about what are the questions you want answered so that we can make sure we appropriately put these together. Because we have tons of data. Yeah, so at what level is the best way to share it?
I think you already know because I've asked. That is a good disaggregation. 'Cause I'm interested also in the disaggregated, and just to be, because I think it's our responsibility to understand what are the different needs and experiences of our different populations. And so I do think, even if it's not in all of these, because I hear you on the 1,000,001 slides, having it in some separate either reference report or like just highlighting what are the ones that are rising, like what are the things in this that are like, ooh, this population is actually really struggling,
And I like the way you said, high-level slide deck, but there's an appendix that you can go through at your leisure and then come back and have a deeper discussion.
Sorry, on this, can you remind me, so proficiency equals grade level, right?
Correct. Yes. And so math, the goal was 14%, and proficiency rose from 11 to 17% for grades 4 through 8. So again, too many students continue to enter upper elementary and middle schools with unfinished learning from other grades. So what we really need to understand is how to accelerate learning rather than remediate. Those are two different things. Remediation keeps kids behind. Acceleration is what we call catch-up growth. And so how do we design for additional catch-up growth? Student engagement and achievement are closely linked. We're going to increase student-centered instruction, and data use is improving, but implementation remains inconsistent. So we'll strengthen our data-driven instructional cycles as a result of that.
I have a question where that kind of still related to my last comment, but I'm wondering when we are looking at what's happening and what's changing, I'm wondering if we are also looking at how proficiency may have looked different over time and if it has any impact. So for example, my son was in kindergarten. I was like, y'all already doing this. Like, so like the level math at, has proficiency changed over time? And who's keeping their eyes on that ball to see how much that's impacting? When you say 30% is the state level, I'm just curious at the structural pieces of it, like who's paying attention to that piece of it? Because when he brings his math homework home, I have to teach him. We see this, right? We have to teach him the old way. I have no idea what our partners, and all that sort of stuff. Like, so I'm just wondering if that is a contributing factor, and make sure that that's also being considered.
So question on wording. You're giving us proficiency numbers, but this section is called mastery, grade level mastery for all. So
Mastery for us is if you're proficient.
Okay.
Proficiency is an indicator that you've mastered those grade level standards.
okay, so we're using the synonyms here.
Yes. So the last category is career, college, and community ready. We want to increase the percent of ninth grade students on track for graduation because ninth grade on track is a predictor of high school graduation. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we wanted to increase overall graduation rate as well as proficiency as measured by NWEA reading. Important note is that NWEA is an indicator of how well they will do on the state assessment, which is M-STEP. So this is a leading indicator. M-STEP is a lagging indicator because you can't really do anything about it after they've taken the test. Okay. So in ninth grade, our on-track rate slipped to 70%. With our goal was 74%. And so to be clear, this is a predictive data. So how do we predict whether or not kids are on track? They have to pass Algebra 1. They must pass English 9 and have 7 credits, which is the number of credits you need to be identified as a 10th grader. You have to have all 3 of those to be considered on track. So when you unpack this data, we're able to see maybe a kid has the credits but didn't pass English 9, or maybe they didn't pass Algebra 1, and they don't have the credit. So this predictive data is what we're using to understand whether or not they're on track to, and we can then intervene. So it's an early intervention metric.
How many credits can they get in ninth grade? So they can.
They can fail one class. So we broke it out to understand what that looks like. And so right now we are tracking every grade. We have 70 ninth graders that, and if I'm not mistaken, the majority of them are in summer school right now, of those 70, if not all. It was a high percentage, like 90% of them are in a summer program to get back on track. We have 60 10th graders that ended the year off track, 53 11th graders, and 12 12th graders. And so all of them will receive an intervention plan. The majority of them are in credit recovery and or some summer learning plan.
So how do you determine on track and off track for 10th, 11th, and 12th? Is it credits?
Credits. Yeah. Number of credits attained. So the district graduation rate, which is one of our indicators, reached 77%, far above this year's 60% goal. And that will not be the final number because of all the kids that are still in summer school. Let me say that again.
I was going to ask, do you have an assessment of proficiency once they hit high school?
Yes, it is. We're still using NWEA for 9th and 10th grade. And then, just like M-STEP, they take the M-STEP and the SAT.
Can you still graduate and not be proficient?
Across all systems, right? And so the conversation we have in Battle Creek Public Schools is what is the value of the diploma? And so for me, graduation is not just about getting your diploma. It's, are you college career ready? So we assess that based on not just your credits, but also the proficiency on NWEA.
Do you see any trends? I'm sorry, I'm 2 slides back. Is there in the on track, off track?
That one?
Yes.
All right.
Are there any demographic trends in the off track or even in the on track?
I would have to check into that. I don't know. I'm certain there are, but I don't know off the top of my head. So let's make sure we note that. So students, 2025 is our last certified graduation rate, and we had a recent high that was set 7 years ago. So we reached 84% as a 4-year graduation rate in 2025, beating the state average. And you can see the trend is going back up. We also placed an unapologetic focus on the success of Black boys because we believe in targeted universalism, which means if you focus on those who are situated furthest from success, then a rising tide will raise all boats. And in our data, our African American boys were situated furthest from the success and doing and not faring well. When we placed a focus on there, we were able to increase them from 64% to 92% in the last 5 years, with a less than 5% dropout rate, which is far outperforming many urban districts.
This was shared at the symposium, and it was really encouraging and a prideful moment that we had the highest. And it's also the reason why I asked about the on track, off track, because I'm so glad that we have high graduation rates, and I also want to make sure, as best that we can, really set them up for success and look at the proficiency. So they actually are graduating and can read and can do math, right, to be truly career college and community
High
ready.
school.
Yeah.
That's important. So in response to that, we will be leveling up our writing curriculum for next year because what we were seeing is with the influx of texting and short form, writing skills are down.
Yes.
So we are placing a laser-like focus on writing, essays, student work samples. You will hear more about that. Kids, I read some statements. I'm really good at that. It's like hieroglyphic.
Yeah, so from my point of disaggregation, like this is, gold, this is, this is really, really important to know and understand and this is the thing we celebrate.
And for us, we go a lot deeper because we need to know where are the gaps, right? It's working for this student, not working for this student, and so how do we close the gap? So the reading is up. NWEA at the high school has increased from the baseline of 27 to 38, exceeding the goal that was set. The target for this year was 30. And then in math, the same. We were able to increase from the baseline of a 13% goal, which is what, how many kids, to 23%. So we want that to move higher. Understand why. So intentional supports and clear pathways are producing results. Post-secondary readiness must begin earlier is one of the things that we have learned. And we also received that feedback. I will be sharing with you data from our Bearcat Advantage report as well. So you will get a lot of data in July. We have a report because we not only work with AIR, we work with the Upjohn Institute, and they have studied college readiness and given us some feedback. The number one thing that they talked about is that we really need to start college readiness earlier in high school. So we are working on a K-12 continuum of college and career readiness experiences for kids. Student success is influenced by more than academic performance alone, and so we want to continue to strengthen the whole school, the whole student support system. That includes athletics, extracurriculars, all of that as we are moving forward. There is data and research that shows that kids who are involved in after school have higher performance in school. So we want to connect kids to extracurricular activities. So we wanted to include some of the snapshot data from AIR so that we could see the longitudinal success of students. One of the first pieces is that reading and math scores rose again from 2025, recovering toward pre-pandemic levels. So what is pictured here is we're just trying to make sure that in education, it is not a straight line to success, but the trend is moving upward. To the point of disaggregation, what we're seeing is that the reading gains are driven by the higher grade levels. This is what you will see in this one, right? Math improvement was also led by the higher grades. They had greater increases in their outcomes. And this goes back to showing why we are really going to focus in on K2. You can see that in this data. Reading rose at similar rates across groups, and so because groups improved at comparable rates, the gaps between them did not narrow, however. So we're going to continue to close those gaps.
Can you say that one more time?
So because,
I know it's on the slide, but.
right, no. So because those groups improved at the same rate, the gap is not closing. Everybody's going up, but we need to bring the gap up as well.
Okay.
So the celebration is that students are achieving at higher rates. The area of opportunity is there's still a gap. Yes. Right. We also looked at English learners, and they are slightly outpacing their peers in math. So what you have here are your English learners and your English proficients. There's a 2% difference, but both are groups trending up. And the reason this is significant is because English learners, we have placed a lot of emphasis on making sure that they have resources and supports, and we've increased it. So we want to make sure that we're seeing a return on those efforts.
How do they look in reading?
That's interesting, isn't it? Okay, so we'll make sure that if I'm not mistaken, there's an increase in that one too. Math gains for special education students are outpacing their peers. So while there's a gap between general education and special education, we are seeing improvements in special education outcomes. AIR found that they have been recording teacher satisfaction and how they see themselves as a future BCPS employee since the start of the transformation. And so this goal is just teachers agree that they see themselves working in BCPS. That same question has been asked for the last 10 years.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but
Yep.
what happened in 2022?
I don't think they took that means that, was that the end of COVID? I don't know.
Okay.
I won't try to answer.
Yeah.
I don't remember, at least. Retention has improved. So teachers are staying. We've got 80% is a pretty good retention rate considering where we've been in the past. So we're continuing to work on that though. And again, we're looking at the number of teachers that are leaving. So continuing to track that year over year so that we understand whether or not we're creating sustainable teaching. Because every time a teacher leaves, we have to invest more professional development. So we've been tracking this for the last few years as well.
Does this include, let's say 43 total left, they leave on their own or like us, like reduction in force? What is?
No, these are teachers who have left on their own.
Got it, okay.
Stronger supports for English learners. EL students and families receive adequate support and services. So this is a survey of our teachers and how they have been feeling about our supports for ELs. And so in the original discussions, as you can see, it was 20%. And so they felt like, and so as a result, this is up here to show that in response to that, we increased resources. We really tried to make sure that we were putting in adequate supports to understand whether or not teachers felt like the students were getting what they need. And so this information shows that those resources and supports have been impactful.
Can I make a comment on that one? Number one, so this is teacher data. This is what teachers are saying. I mean, for me, there are two big things here. One is those are really big jumps, and so that is really good progress. And at the same time, when I look at some of those, I'm like, those still have to improve,
Exactly.
that's still not okay.
Yeah.
So just highlighting that as well.
Yep. And so, in response, we are adding another ML teacher, full-time FTE, because we have increased numbers and we want to make sure that we have adequate resources across the schools. And we are the only district that now has a Swahili supported support staff member who is on staff to help us with ML.
One thing, trying to roll around in my mind, we always randomly throw in that slide about unapologetic focus on Black boys. But then I never see like how that comes through. I see EL stuff, which is great. Right? We have multiple slides on EL. Right. How do we do the unapologetic focus on Black boys? Because that only comes up as it feels like a stray comment, and then we move on and focus on other things. So I would just be curious to know what was done, or what are we tracking against it? We have this metrics where we're asking teachers about EL. Great. You do something like that with.
For Black boys, it is in the data. So we make sure that they are specifically pulled out in data reviews and on dashboards so that they're not invisible. And I think that's the number one strategy that makes the difference, that you have to see exactly where the achievement levels of every Black boy in your school, and then have a strategy for improving their outcomes. So that strategy might be that they've increased mentoring for students, that they have increased tutoring for a group of students. The number one strategy that the district employed is making sure that they're visible in the data. And you have to report on it on a regular basis. And then each building has different strategies that they use to achieve that aim. The district strategy is visibility in the data to make sure you have a plan.
Sorry, I have a question. You said each building has their own strategy, but aren't we trying to be consistent with all of our stuff? So how does if each building has their own different strategy, don't we want to not do that if we're talking about being consistent throughout all the buildings?
So at some point, there is variability in strategy, and the reason is it's based on what the need of those students are, right? And so if at Verona you've realized that you need more small group interventions, then that's a strategy you're going to have for your school. But at Anjay Kellogg, we need more mentors, and so that's a strategy that they're going to employ. So the consistency is that everybody has a strategy, and some of those will be consistent across all buildings, but not all. Because we still want to make sure that we leave room for individualized resources and support for student needs.
So each building does have a strategy specific to Black boys. It's interesting because they didn't bring this up in their school presentations.
I think STEM do.
Yeah. Which is why I want to talk about what do we expect, because I never envisioned that the school reports would become another AIP for the buildings. They present those to me, right? Those school reports were supposed to just be, let me tell you about some celebrations that make my school unique. And so in our July meeting, I really want to have a conversation about what are we expecting from the schools in order to present here at the board level. And that's why they're all over the place.
Yeah, because I'm curious about that. So they're presenting you differing information. How are you comparing apples to apples if everybody's doing something different?
No, they have an AIP format that they present to me, which is a lot deeper than what they go through here at the board level.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is they have started to feel that those were becoming more, what would I call, evaluation reports, more so than just, yes, that they're doing here. Like, what are we presenting here at this board? Is it more evaluation? Am I feeling like I'm being evaluated as a principal when I stand up here? Or am I feeling like I'm coming to celebrate what's happening in my building? And those are two different things that I want us to talk about in July. What is the expectation, right? Because I should be doing those reports. I don't know that the principal should be doing those reports. So we need to have a philosophical discussion about that. Yep. So average incidents per day per 100 students, down sharply from 2018. And so disciplinary incidents fell, but what you hear me say all the time is that we still have a percentage of students who, while it's not a lot of students, that 10% feels like and takes away from the district. And so we have to continue to think about what supports we put in place for students who are struggling. Part of that is we did not have a social emotional curriculum or a bullying curriculum last year. So we have done an RFP, and teachers have requested a social emotional learning curriculum that they can implement on a daily basis to support reteaching of behaviors.
District-wide,
District-wide.
Is that actually on the other packet you gave us with all the My Voice data? Like one of those was the SEL learning, which I thought was super interesting. And also because if I'm remembering right, there was a big dip after elementary.
Yes. So we are reviewing those proposals, and we will be bringing forward a recommendation to the board for implementation. So as I stated, consistency. Every student, the same high-quality instruction, support, and sense of belonging in every classroom. What you will hear from me in the coming months is how, right? This is just about the what did the data tell us, what did we learn, and now we spend the summer determining, okay, what are the specific strategies we're going to employ that are aligned to the strategic plan to improve consistency. So the work ahead is not more initiatives. It's just making sure that every student experiences the same high-quality instruction, support, and sense of belonging, regardless of which school or classroom they enter. So 5 shifts. We're going to really focus on relationships, data that changes practice, clear expectations, accountability, systems and implementation to solve problems.
I thought this slide was really impactful. I'm wondering if you could, help me understand, like, the we thought. Like, when did you think that? Like, is that pre-transformation? Is that, like, last year? Like, is this this is key learnings of this year, or has this been the cumulative over?
This is the key learnings of 25-26 as we look towards 26-27. We went in thinking more interventions, right? Let's keep layering on interventions. But interventions in the absence of relationships doesn't improve outcomes, right? We really focused on data, a lot of data, PLCs, data, but it only matters if it changes practice. So these are the learnings from this year. Like, we went in strong on this side because that's what evidence says. And it's also in the way in which you use the research in the context of the district that you serve.
I mean, it's super important. Like, these are big and important lessons learned, thank you, to you and all the staff for really digging in that, in that very reflective way, because this is really important.
I will end by just saying I have very clarity. It's like, I'm excited about next year because we have real clarity around why, what didn't go well, where are the gaps, and we know what to do about it. It's different when you're walking into the next year not understanding what the next level of response is, but we absolutely know, and I'm confident that we're going to continue in the right direction, but also close some gaps.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Carter. Moving on to reports and recommendations. A, post-Franklin kitchen remodel. Michelle Morrissey.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's that time of the year where we have, food service has an issue of excess fund balance. And with no programs at Franklin this summer, we were finally able to put a plan in place at Post Franklin and knock out all the old wood cabinetry, give them some updated equipment within that little space that we do have, and move the kids from the hallway into the cafeteria. So that's literally upgrading, giving them a 3-compartment sink, a new steam well serving table, a cold bar, a couple of new coolers, and some stainless steel work tables instead of the old non-traditional cabinetry that, and even with the new flooring and everything. And that one comes out to a total of 155. I think that's the right one. Sorry. No, $157,548.27. I did put out some bids to include installation and everything, and Douglas Equipment came in with the full complete package of everything that we needed. And then the other project so far is some miscellaneous pieces, a couple of new state-of-the-art ovens for the high school where we can literally, we want to start smoking and roasting our own fresh meats. And being able to literally, with the time of school, being able to put a roast in the oven as we leave, and it holds it at that cooling temperature, and then if at midnight or 1 a.m., it automatically starts roasting it, and it's ready for the morning, instead of being a open the cardboard box type product for our kids. As well as at Northwestern, we have a jumbo steam kettle that has been there, I think, since the building. And removing that as it is not functioning and put in a tilt skillet where we can make our homemade taco meat and things like that again then as well. So, and that project with the miscellaneous pieces came in at $155,662.35. Again, sending it out to the equipment companies that we know and work with. And again, in our schools, there are some tricky mechanical, electrical installation, and again, Douglas came in again as the low bid in the complete package for us. So the two projects combined is $313,210.62. So that's the first of my stuff to go through for this year.
So I have a question related to Douglas being both. So would they be able to complete both projects over the summer?
Yes. Yep, that was one of the criteria, to have it ready, both of them ready to go before school starts.
Okay.
The funding source, food service excess.
Excess fund balance. So, so we are, per USDA federal guidelines, technically we're supposed to have, I think it's 3 months excess, our funds to cover 3 months worth of expenses. And that excess fund is the extra that we have beyond those 3 months of expenses. And it's 1.2 million this year. We're also in the process of working on plans right now for A&J Kellogg to completely revamp that kitchen, serving line, everything in that building, because that hasn't really been touched in, at least in my 18 years that I've been here.
And you get the excess funds because Michelle and her team are really, really, I don't want to say frugal, but they maximize every dollar, which.
Trying to be a good steward of the district dollars. And I don't want to just spend it because I have to spend it. And MDE gives us a very strict guideline as to what we can and cannot spend that money on. So
basically it's from the contract we approved last year, and this is not new money, this is money that was already allocated.
this is money that the district earns in the food service program.
It's like the savings account is.
And it has, again, it gives us, dictates to us what we can and cannot spend them funds on.
I think it's also important to make sure we understand this is not general fund dollars. These are very specific.
Completely separate
food service
from the general
dollars
fund.
that are not.
I love every time you come up here because I'm always like 100% yes, because it's always the excess funds, and I'm super excited that that happens. My other question or comment is that oven that you talked about for the high school that holds the roast, can that be done for board meetings too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Start sending us your, sending your wish list. But it just gives us that, again, we're really trying to go what we call speed scratch. And I have not, since I've been here, I've not done canned vegetables. It's all frozen or fresh, or what we call farm to freezer. Same with our produce and stuff. We use canned fruit, in the morning for breakfast because it is individually packaged. And then, especially after a long break or something, but we try not to do canned stuff much at all.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Moving on to C, the tentative agreement between BCPS and Battle Creek Paraprofessionals, BCPA. Dr. Henry is not here, so.
It is recommended that the board approve the tentative agreement, which was unanimously voted on by the BCPA and includes an increase in salaries and an insurance change as they requested.
Any questions for Dr. Carter? Moving on to public comments. Any public comments? Nope, okay. New business. A, the approval of reduction staff. You are taking over, Dr. Henry?
It's been presented, and so it's a roll call.
Okay, so non-exempt staff first. Are there any, actually, I need a motion. I need a motion still.
President Fulbright.
Yes.
I moved for the approval of reduction of staff. Do we need to do a separate for A and B? Okay, so for A, for non-exempt staff.
Any support? It's been moved by trustee Flores, supported by trustee Hayden. Any discussion?
Go ahead.
So, I did ask Dr. Carter a question about this, and I appreciate the response. And I just want to make sure, so what I'm trying to understand is, these were long-term subs, and they were not in the classrooms? So your email
Yeah.
response, I'm trying to
So
understand.
transitional teachers were long-term, so the way to explain it is that we have daily subs that show up every day. And then we had teachers that we hired to just show, well, we have daily subs that show up when they're called. And then we had teachers that were assigned to buildings to show up no matter what. Those positions have been eliminated. We will still have daily subs, which they can be in. Some of these teachers may have been in a classroom and not a good fit as well.
And the ones that were a good fit but didn't qualify or were eligible, how are we supporting whatever it was that they were supporting?
Yeah, so they are eligible to move into other positions.
Okay.
And so they have been getting career counseling from Alexa Small. Okay. Another understanding is that some of these transitional teachers were hired to become teachers, but did not finish their program.
Right.
And so as a result of that, or are not, or no longer enrolled in a program. And so they couldn't transition to another position.
Right, so am I thinking about them, because I get that, right, like that's on them, they weren't eligible. I'm thinking about the student needs, like if they are no longer eligible, then who is supporting those students though? Like what was our plan to support those students?
Permanent teachers. So this is not this doesn't leave a gap in student supports, if that's your question.
That is my question.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yes.
This does not leave a gap in
Okay.
student supports. Those will be permanent full-time teachers that will be hired to fill in. These were ancillary staff. So.
Okay.
All right, I just 2 comments, for, all of this with the reduction of staff. I want to, just acknowledge that this is tough,
Absolutely.
right? This is really tough, and just want to thank staff for your really careful diligence and thinking this through, really, again, thinking through on the budgetary aspects, thinking through how to do this in the, most careful and respectful way possible. So, number 1, just wanted to acknowledge that and say that. And then 2, on just a minor thing, I did just realize that I think there's a typo in the resolutions. So on the non-exempt staff, under now therefore be it resolved, that there are 4 non-exempt staff members, there's actually 3 on that list. And the opposite, and on the other one, it says there's 4 and there are actually 5 on the list. do we need like a motion to be able to amend this, or will it just a
No,
correction?
she will
It can
make
be
sure that is
corrected?
correct in the adopted one.
Okay.
I think we did point that out at the last meeting. Yeah. So the one that's signed will be, make sure that it's correct. Thank you for that.
Are there any other discussion about the non-exempt staff? Hearing none, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Alicia Hayden,
Present. I'm sorry. Yes.
Dr. Johnson,
Yes.
Nathan Graycheck, Kate Flores,
Yes.
Dr. Nicole Perry,
Yes.
Art McClain, Kelly Fulbright.
Yes. Moving on to B, I will entertain a motion.
Alright,
Yes, Trustee Flores?
I move for the approval of the reduction of staff for B, professional staff.
Any support?
Support.
It's been moved by Trustee Flores, supported by Trustee Johnson. Any discussion on professional staff? Hearing none, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Nathan Graycheck, Art McClain, Dr. Perry,
Yes.
Alicia Hayden,
Yes.
Kate Flores,
Yes.
Dr. Johnson,
Yes.
Kelly Fulbright.
Yes. Moving on to B, post-Franklin kitchen remodel. I will entertain a motion.
President Fulbright.
Yes, Trustee Perry?
I move that the board approve the request to remodel the post-Franklin kitchen with an amount not exceeding $157,548.27 coming from the excess food service budget.
Any support? It's been moved by Trustee Perry, supported by Trustee Flores. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed say no. Motion passes. C, miscellaneous food service equipment. I'll entertain a motion.
President Fulbright.
Yes, Trustee Perry?
I move that the board approve the miscellaneous food service equipment request with an amount not exceeding $155,662.35 coming from the food service excess.
It's been moved by Trustee Perry, supported by Trustee Flores. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed say no. Motion passes. Moving on to D, the revised 2026-2027 Board of Education monthly meeting schedule. I will entertain a motion.
President Fulbright, I make a motion of revised 26-27 Board of Education monthly meetings.
Support.
It's been moved by Trustee Hayden, supported by Trustee Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed say no. Motion passes. Moving on to E, I will entertain a motion.
President Fulbright.
Yes, Trustee Perry?
I move that the board approve the tentative agreement between the Battle Creek Public School and Battle Creek Paraprofessionals.
Approve it.
It's been moved by Trustee Perry, supported by Trustee Flores. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed say no. Motion passes. I will now entertain a motion to go into closed session. Yes, Vice President Perry.
I move that the board goes into closed session to discuss the superintendent evaluation.
It's been moved by Vice President Perry, supported by Trustee Hayden. Any discussion? All in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed say no. Motion passes. We are now in closed session. We will take a five-ish break. Five-ish
My
break.
question was what I asked at the beginning. I was asking you guys about the.
Me?
Yeah, I missed the paraprofessionals.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to reconvene.
President Fulbright,
Yes, trustee Perry?
I move that we reconvene.
Where did you close your computer?
Oh, it still says closed session. The green is green.
You want me to go get it?
Please. Says we're live,
Just want to remove the message.
though. I just want to make sure that we are live. Maybe just be a
Yeah.
glitch. Yeah, it was all live the whole time.
All right, you done with me?
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, guys.
Thank you
Good to
very
see you.
much.
Good night.
Still says closed session, but it's not closed.
Nope, we're live.
Okay. So is there any support for trustee Perry's motion?
Support.
Who did it first? Okay, it's been moved by trustee Perry, supported by trustee Johnson, that we reconvene. Any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. Moving on to the consideration to approve the 2025-2026 superintendent evaluation as presented. I will entertain a motion.
Do we have to do the motion before we discuss?
Yes.
Yes. This is just
Do
the
we motion?
evaluation.
Oh, the
The
evaluation.
evaluation, yes.
Never mind.
I move trustee, President Fulbright.
Yes, Vice President Perry.
I move that we approve the 2025-2026 superintendent evaluation as presented.
It's been moved by Vice President Perry, supported by trustee Hayden. Any discussion? The only thing I will say is, as presented, we have evaluated her as an effective superintendent for the 2025-2026 school year. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote.
It's up to you. We don't have to, it's not a resolution.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion passes. All right, moving on to consideration to approve the contract extension. I will entertain a motion.
President Fulbright,
Yes, trustee
I
Flores?
move for the approval of the contract extension.
Any support? I actually don't know what happens.
Someone
What we would do in the city commission is we would always move for it to be approved, have it done in discussion, and if anything gets voted down, it's voted down. So in my experience, everything gets moved. That's what we did in the city commission, that's all I can tell you.
Well, you guys had to follow the Open Meetings Act too, so.
It's not.
It might have been just that was our practice, but
Yeah.
we always did a motion to approve everything, to move anything, and then any discussion happens in discussion.
Right, and then you
And then
vote.
another motion could be presented that.
You could amend,
Different.
yes. After that, if you want to do an amendment, you do an amendment to the original motion.
Well, the way
That's my
they
experience.
presented it in mass training is it could just die. There's no support. So it doesn't have to get pushed through for discussion, so that's not, I don't know, we don't have a practice on it.
Well, I think the chair can support it, right? Okay, well, I support then. Yeah, because I want discussion on it, so.
Yes.
It's been moved by trustee Flores, supported by President Fulbright. Any discussion? Now we can talk about it.
Discussion on this. So I will say it felt like it came out of, like, it did come, right, we did get enough information, or we did get some information before the meeting. And it came at a surprise, so I have questions, and I did request that, that we separate these votes, and because I think these are two different governance decisions. One is about contract extension, and then one is about an increase, and so a board may want to vote one up and vote one down, and the challenge in bundling it is it presents as an all or nothing. And so I'll just go into what some of my questions were. With the contract extension, thank you for your response regarding where this places you in the, like, where you're retirement eligible. And I think that context would have been helpful to begin with, because my initial thought was there's so much happening and so much that could happen and change the educational landscape here in Battle Creek, to the enrollment challenges. There's a lot happening right now. And we also have new board members who are about to join. And I want them to be able to have the opportunity to have say in a discussion around or vote around contract extension. And then when you shared that year would make you retirement eligible, it gave an additional perspective, like, okay. And we also want to make sure that it's organizationally, which you shared, that that it's an organizational decision, not just a personal one, which I can appreciate the sustainability piece. But I guess I just wanted to understand more about, like, what's the risk if we didn't extend it? So say more about, like, where this is coming from. Are there some worries or concerns if we don't extend the contract, or like what problem are we solving?
So one, I think it's important to note that I had this conversation with the leadership a month ago, correct? Which the practice should be that once I negotiate with the leadership, they are to contact board members to develop an understanding of whether or not it's okay to move forward with that. It shouldn't come here if we still have questions. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so I was surprised that it felt like it was just this last minute move forward, because there should be discussion. Negotiate with your board leadership. They then have, and this is the second time this has happened in the last couple of years, so that when you get here, it is something that everybody is comfortable with, that we've had the opportunity to negotiate back and forth. That's one. As a superintendent in the current political climate, you want to have a 3-year contract. That doesn't mean we're all locked in, but it's the confidence that I have the ability to do the work that I need to do in an ever-changing climate that's happening right now. Superintendents are under fire, and it also signals whether or not the board still believes that you have the ability to get the work done. We have 2 big things happening. I know one of your concerns is whether or not there'll be some changes. That won't happen in 3 years. But it will begin to start to work, and you still have the option of somebody stepping away from that. So I know that that's in the back of your head, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that you're locked in there, because if that happens, that's a whole new decision-making practice. So, and what we're talking about is maybe some consolidation of districts in Battle Creek. And so a movement can be made, but that's a whole new district. And so there'll be a whole new contract decision that's made. We're about to do a heavy restructuring. That comes with a lot of political fire. And so you want to operate under the concern that you can make those movements and you have some stability moving forward, right? And so for a superintendent, for me, honestly, it's less than 3 years, you got to start thinking about what's the next thing. So, and that's not where I'm at right now. My goal is get us through the restructuring. That's going to happen. And then get us one more grant so that I can leave this place with funding in the bank. So that is my goal for the next 3 years.
I have a
comment or a thought to add around the board leadership comment. Because if it's the second time it's happened, clearly there's just a lack of clarity of how this process works. So that's an opportunity that needs to be addressed. Because you're correct, it happened 2 years ago when that extension was pushed through. And now it's happened again.
And I did have that conversation, correct, Charlie? About, let's make sure that this doesn't happen again.
But this doesn't happen again is what I'm commenting on, like, who advises leadership on the negotiation or whatever you're saying should have happened. There's no knowledge of that for somebody who's new to being president or new to being anything else. It's just that the request was made, we're told to function as one board, so there's no right for leadership to shoot down your request. So you have to present your request, is the understanding. So there needs to be better resourcing or availability of the attorney or whoever the district uses to support leadership versus just saying, oh, well, I asked leadership and then they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
So I think I just wanted to understand what that meant, because I think for me, my due diligence was making sure that we understood the process, and if there are questions, we can move forward. That's the extent. I'm not going to push it forward. And so when we had the conversation, I said, remember, please make sure that you have discussed this as a board of a whole before moving it forward with the board president. And that's where I leave it. And then they can come back to me to say, this is not clear, I don't want to move it forward, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I don't know. No, it doesn't. I don't know what that means. How is the president going to discuss it with the board as a whole outside of a meeting? That's a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
I know what that means. It means you have one-on-one conversations.
Yes.
It means that you guys go to each one-on-one and talk about it and get our feedback, go it back, and then go back and forth with that. And again, I'm coming at that because that's my experience on the city commission, that this happens. That is how things happen all the time. And so there's something where you already gathered all the feedback, and then you're able to mold or shift a proposal, have some discussion back. So like what you're saying, that when it comes here, most of the concerns that have been raised up individually so we're not discussing it as a body, where there's not an open email where we're all saying, here's what I think, and I get to hear what all of you think. Like, that is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. But it is not a violation to have one-on-one conversations and gather individual input from everybody.
Because it's not fair to me to be in this situation to try to defend this. I would hope that conversation, so when you have questions, how does this, I would prefer you to do it this way. All of that would have been taken care of before it even gets here. Right? Because the next step is, if it's not approved, what message does that send in this open meeting? We didn't have an opportunity to actually talk about it.
So to be clear, my comment is that was not clear. Okay. So if that's not been clear twice, now that Kate's explained it, that needs to be something going forward if this is an issue in the future, where you say very clearly to whoever the president is, hey, that means please go have these individual conversations, because I don't think that was understood. And it probably wasn't understood last time either. I can't speak to last time because I was on the receiving end of that. So that's my only comment.
But Charlie,
Yes.
you want to speak to what it?
So I will say, from last time to this time, I thought I was like so much better, because last time I contacted board members like the day before because I had no clue what I was doing. I don't know. But this time, like I had a conversation with Trustee Flores and Trustee Grayjack, and we talked and I explained the whole thing. But I guess I didn't know like all of their feedback to take it back and bring it back to give to Kim. I just gave them what I was given, and then that was it. So they were ready for tonight. But I didn't get any feedback to give back to.
So what needs to happen though, and I would actually, my preference with where we're at now would be to postpone this, to move a motion to postpone, because in general then, before this even, this discussion happens before it's on an agenda. So there's not a, maybe there's a draft that's given to you, and there's a draft that's be able to review, but the conversations don't happen when it's on an agenda already. It happens all pre. So once it hits the agenda, it's already got all the collective input.
I agree.
And so given what, I'm very grateful for this additional, context and explanation. Thank you. and everyone's questions as well. I had a lot of questions too, and I don't know. If there is nothing in my senses, there's an active contract. So my senses there is not. Like, tell me if I'm wrong. Like an urgency, like this has to get done now. Like I would suggest postponing.
On the vote, I agree. Do we, so in that process, because I just do have additional questions, do I wait then to have this a one-on-one with you in that time frame, or how do we want to handle that?
Well, I think
We have to address the motion that's out here if there's no more discussion.
Right.
And then if we're saying we're tabling it so we can go back and have those discussions one-on-one, then that would happen and then just submit it again at a later time. But we do have an active motion that we have to.
Right.
But we have something in front of us now, and so that, again, that whether we have conversations with one of you, and then you guys can talk with each other based on what you've heard, because you guys can talk to each other based on what you heard, because you're not quorum.
Will we have to have call a special meeting once all these one-on-one conversations happen?
I think we would just put it on.
July.
Yeah, we've got meetings every 2 weeks, so we'll go on one of those.
So we need to amend this.
So,
We could just vote on
The
this.
current motion.
Vote it down.
well, I think you can, I think we can make a motion. I think you can just make a motion to postpone or to revise the original motion to postpone.
You're gonna do that
In which case,
motion?
I
The
will-
original,
I will make
so
that motion to, revise the original motion to postpone this to a future meeting.
Support.
Okay. So the motion to amend the first motion to postpone this vote until a future meeting was made by Flores, supported by Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor say yes? Yes. All opposed say no. Motion passes. So this will be on a future, our next one is in 2 weeks, or, I don't know, I'll have to look. In July. And then we will redo it. And maybe then we'll have our 2 missing board members join us. Superintendent comments.
I was looking for my comments, because I usually email them to myself. Yes, it is absolutely about summer school on here. All right. All right. A reminder to our families that our summer programming has started. Both Bearcat Blast and KSP are now in session. We wish our students and staff a fun summer full of learning. We want to remind families that BCPS is proudly participating in the Meet Up and Eat Up program again this summer. The program has already started. If you want a full list of times and locations, please make sure to check our social media or our website. Lastly, I want to thank Dr. Nicole Perry for her years of service. Never mind.
That change I didn't know too.
Yes. All right, so we hope to see everybody at summer school.
Board member comments.
I will comment. I really appreciate the development opportunity for the Black Boys in Men National Symposium. It was inspiring. It was fun. It was good. And Battle Creek Public Schools represented. We had strong presence there, and I got accidentally copied on an email, but after the symposium, Dr. Harvey sent out an email asking for reflections and actions based on the symposium, and I was like, I love this. She's like, I didn't mean to, copy you on that. But I love it, right, to see that. But I learned so much, and I'm looking forward to a presentation. I think we have done that before, where they come and we talk about what insights we learned. And the great thing is that they're gonna bring it back to Battle Creek next time. GVSU shared that this was the highest attended of their symposiums, the one here in Battle Creek. Don't quote me, but I think he said like 30% increase in the previous symposiums. And also said that Battle Creek was very welcoming and hospitable, and the city and the community in general. They said how they, driving up and down the street and seeing all the signs encouraging people to attend. So we're going to make sure next year that one, it's not a food desert. That was one of the opportunities, but it was really, really well put together, and I want to thank you for supporting board development in that way.
I know that we, just went through and had the opportunity for conversation or discussion about the evaluation process, but as someone who, this is my first time, through this process, I really enjoyed it. I also want to say congratulations, Kim. I mean, you've had there's been some really, really good progress in things, and your leadership in so many ways this year. Superintendent of the Year, going for national. And so just want to once again say thank you, for you and all you do, and, the whole team, because I know, and you emphasize this a lot, and it's something I appreciate about your leadership of, there's a whole team behind things. And so even though we have lots of work to do, you present that to us, with a lot of, transparency, a lot of, ambition, a lot of hunger for making the change. And so just want to, again, say thank you.
I'll add to the comments about the evaluation. I know there are questions sometimes that people pose around it. There's very specific criteria that we have to meet, and Dr. Carter, you've done a good job for taking that feedback and making adjustments. So while we recognize that there's much work to be done for our test scores, the evaluation does not mean we're content with that. It just means that we've set up a great system around communication, feedback. So I truly encourage the community to continue to provide that feedback. There are many opportunities through board members talking to you directly as you're out and about, Dr. Carter. But we really want to emphasize that I appreciate that you take feedback and that there's been progress made, and look forward to seeing more progress being made about our student outcomes in their testing, or even their proficiency, more so than testing. So appreciate all the progress that's been made, and look forward to having more in the future.
Great things are happening in Battle Creek Public Schools. Meeting adjourned.